When my boyfriend Tom and I first found this house, he was obsessed. He called its peeling paint and creaky floors character. I just called it creepy. From the very first night, I knew something was wrong. It started with whispers, faint as the wind, snaking through the long, dark hallways. I'd ask Tom, "Did you hear that?" And he'd just shake his head, lost in his book or his phone. He had a logical explanation for everything. The whispers were just the house settling. The rattling of the doorknobs was just a draft. But then the furniture started to move. A chair scooted away from the table. A book fell off a shelf with no one near it. Tom would laugh it off, saying the floors were uneven. He was so determined to make this house our home, he refused to see what was right in front of us. I felt like I was losing my mind, caught between what I was experiencing and his constant denial. The house felt like it was breathing around me, watching my every move. I started sleeping with the lights on, but even then, the shadows in the corners seemed to twist and writhe. One evening, after another argument about the strange occurrences, I found the first message. Scrawled across the living room wall in what looked like dust or ash were two simple words. "Get out." My blood ran cold. I showed Tom, my hand shaking. He stared at it for a long time, then sighed, running a hand through his hair. He claimed I was doing it myself, maybe in my sleep, that my anxiety was getting the better of me. That was the moment I realized I was truly alone in this. It wasn't just the house I had to fear. It was the man I loved who refused to believe me. The next night, we had our worst fight yet. I begged him, pleaded with him to listen, to just acknowledge that something was happening. He packed a small bag, saying he needed some space, that he'd be back in the morning when I calmed down. He kissed my forehead, told me he loved me, and walked out the door. That was the last time I ever saw him. I waited all night, my phone clutched in my hand, but he never called. He never came back. The police couldn't find him. His car was gone. It was like he vanished from the face of the earth. Now, I was completely alone in the whispering house. The activity escalated. Footsteps followed me from room to room. The whispers grew louder, clearer, no longer just formless sounds, but hissing, angry words I couldn't quite make out. Doors would slam shut, locking me in or out of rooms. The writing appeared more frequently, always the same two words. Get out. One night, huddled on the sofa, too terrified to go upstairs, I heard the slow, deliberate creak of footsteps coming down the stairs. They stopped right behind me. I held my breath, every muscle in my body frozen. And then I felt it. A bone-chilling cold and icy pressure, like a hand settling on my shoulder. I didn't scream. I didn't even breathe. In that single terrifying moment, I launched myself off the couch and ran. I didn't grab my keys, my wallet, or my phone. I just ran out the front door and didn't stop until the streetlights of the main road bathed me in their safe, artificial glow. I never spent another night in that house. Weeks later, accompanied by a friend during the bright light of day, I went back to pack my things. The house was silent still. As I gathered the last of my belongings, my eyes fell upon the living room wall. The old message was gone. In its place, in the same dusty script, was a new word. Goodbye. I walked out and never looked back, leaving the house to its secrets and to whatever took Tom from me. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you enjoyed tales of the strange and unexplained, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Stay safe out there. The rain was coming down in sheets, the kind that makes the whole house feel like it's underwater. Thunder rattled the windows, and then Max started barking. It wasn't his usual someone's at the door bark. This was frantic, guttural, aimed at a completely empty corner of the living room. He just stood there, hackles raised, growling at nothing. I called his name. "Max, what is it?" "Settle down, boy." But he wouldn't. He was trembling, but his eyes were locked on that corner, filled with a mix of fear and aggression I'd never seen before. My heart started to pound along with the rhythm of the storm. Was someone in the house? I grabbed the heaviest flashlight I owned and started a slow, methodical search. I checked every closet, every room, behind every curtain. Nothing. The house was secure. But Max was still at it, his barks echoing through the empty rooms, creating a truly chilling atmosphere. I tried to calm him, petting his back, but he was rigid, completely fixated on that one spot. It felt like he was seeing something I couldn't, a presence in the room with us. The barking wouldn't stop. It was relentless. I was starting to think he was just spooked by the storm, but his focus was too intense. All right, I get it, I said, mostly to myself. Maybe he heard something outside. Pulling on my raincoat, I steeled myself and opened the back door. The wind and rain hit me instantly, cold and sharp. I couldn't see a thing beyond the small circle of my flashlight beam. I scanned the yard, the trees thrashing wildly in the wind. The fence line was clear. The shed was locked. There was absolutely nothing out there. Frustrated and soaked, I was about to head back inside when Max, who had followed me to the doorway, let out a sharp, commanding bark, directing my attention towards the deck. I swept the flashlight beam across the wooden planks, and that's when I saw it. A shape, huddled in the darkest corner behind the barbecue grill, almost completely hidden from view. My blood ran cold. I took a hesitant step forward, my flashlight shaking in my hand. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice barely a whisper against the howling wind. As I got closer, the shape resolved into a person. It was an old man, crouched down, soaked to the bone and shivering violently. My heart leaped into my throat when I recognized him. It was Mr. Daniel, my elderly neighbor from 2 houses down. He suffers from dementia and sometimes gets confused. He looked up at me, his eyes wide with fear and confusion, unable to speak. He must have wandered out and gotten lost in the storm, taking shelter in the first place he could find. Max hadn't been sensing a ghost. He'd been sensing a person in distress. He had sensed that Mr. Daniel was in trouble and needed help. I quickly helped him to his feet, wrapped him in a blanket, and brought him inside. After a warm drink and a call to his family, he was safe. Looking at Max, who was now calmly lying by the fire, I was overwhelmed with a wave of gratitude and awe. What started as one of the most terrifying nights of my life, filled with an invisible threat and a raging storm, had turned into a story of an unexpected rescue. It turns out my brave dog wasn't just my best friend, he was a hero. Thank you so much for watching our story today. If you have a furry hero in your life, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories. We'll see you next time. Moving into this sleepy little town was supposed to be a fresh start, a peaceful escape from the city noise. For the first few weeks, it was exactly that. I loved the quiet nights, the friendly neighbors, the feeling of finally being able to breathe. I thought I had found my sanctuary. That all changed one Tuesday night. I was curled up on the sofa, lost in a book, when a sound from the front door snapped me back to reality. It was faint at first, a metallic click, but then it came again, more insistent. My heart hammered against my ribs. I wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, I crept towards the entryway, my phone clutched in my hand. Through the peephole, my blood ran cold. The doorknob was turning, twisting back and forth, pushed by an unseen hand on the other side. A dark shape, a man's silhouette, was pressed against the glass panel next to the door. I stumbled back, my breath catching in my throat, and immediately dialed 911. My whisper was shaky as I told the dispatcher what was happening. It felt like an eternity, but the wail of sirens finally cut through the night. The figure at my door vanished just as the flashing blue and red lights painted my living room walls. The police searched the area, but he was gone. They told me he probably wouldn't be back, that it was likely a random, failed attempt. I tried to believe them. I really did. I installed more locks, a better security camera, and tried to push the memory away. But how do you forget the feeling of your safe space being violated? Every creak of the house made me jump. Every shadow seemed to hold a human form. For a few days, a fragile sense of calm began to return. I told myself I was overreacting, that the police were right. Then, one sunny afternoon, I was washing dishes, looking out the kitchen window into my backyard, and there he was, the same man. He wasn't trying to get in this time. He was just standing there, partially hidden by the old oak tree at the edge of my garden, watching me. There was no mistaking him. My entire body went numb with a primal fear I'd never known. He wasn't trying to steal anything. He was just watching. The violation felt so much deeper this time. It wasn't about my belongings. It was about me. I called the police again, my voice barely a whisper, never taking my eyes off him. This time, they got him. They cornered him right there in my garden. I watched from the window as they put him in handcuffs. I thought I would feel a wave of relief, but all I felt was a chilling dread. The worst part, the part that keeps me awake at night, is what happened next. At the station, he refused to talk. He wouldn't give them his name, wouldn't say where he was from, and most terrifyingly, he wouldn't say why he was at my house. He just sat there silent. The police couldn't to hold him for long without a confession or more evidence of a crime beyond trespassing. They had to let him go. So now I live with a question that has no answer. Who is he? What did he want? His silence is louder than any threat he could have made. It's a constant, lingering presence in my home, a reminder that he was here and that he could come back. This quiet town doesn't feel so peaceful anymore. It feels like I'm living on the edge of a story I don't understand, and I'm terrified of how it might end. Thanks for listening to my story. If you have any experiences like this, please share them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content. Stay safe out there.